What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I've made a big change. And that has to do with what you all are watching me on right now. I've upgraded my camera system. Now, some of you may consider this an upgrade, some might consider it a downgrade. I kind of lean more towards a downgrade, honestly. But that doesn't always mean worse. When I started doing YouTube work, I had a GH4, then I upgraded to a GH5. Then I went from a GH5 to the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And then I moved from that, well, I actually still have it, it's right over there. I transitioned from using that to using the Blackmagic Ursa Mini G2. And that's the 4.6K. Not only did it have excellent image quality, tons of features. B-Raw was so easy to work with and so flexible and forgiving. It was wonderful. It really provided a lot of opportunities for me, but I shot so much with it. I shot car reviews, I shot tech reviews, I shot every video for this channel for the past few years. I shot weddings, I shot sports, you name it. I used that camera and it was wonderful. With one big downside, literally. It was huge. So if I'm shooting outside, no big deal. I can slap it on a monopod, I can put it on my shoulder. But the second you have to start carrying that thing around, you better have an easy rig, you better have a tripod, you better have a strong monopod, because your arms are gonna wear out quick. And then to take it a step further into my actual job, not freelancing, if I'm shooting a review on, a Tahoe or something, that's no problem, it'll fit in that. But the second you start trying to make a video on a Golf R or a Volkswagen GTI, good luck. Trying to fit that in the back seat of a Golf R, impossible. And then I'd literally be in the cabin of the car with the widest possible lens I have going like this, trying to film like one little tiny thing. It just became so cumbersome. And on top of that, the second huge downside, no autofocus. And that's a huge deal when you're a solo shooter like I am. Like, I've got it set up right now. I've got it set on autofocus. I can see myself on the little monitor up there and I can see the peaking around my face. So I know that ideally, based on the monitor, that my face is in focus. Before, with my other camera, with no autofocus, I'd have to set something up here and get it in focus over there and be looking at the monitor and making sure everything's in focus and then just hope that I don't move forward too far in the frame where the focus shifts or move too far out of the frame where the focus shifts. It just added an extra layer of difficulty that didn't need to be there. And a couple times it completely ruined a project because I'd go back after the fact, look at the footage and realize it was out of focus, but I'd already shot it. And then for issue number 3, the file size. The Blackmagic RAW files are incredibly easy to work with. They always played back buttery smooth, not only on my home PC, my work PC, but also my laptop, which is a MacBook. Never had any issues with playback. Even at 4.6K 120, no issues. But the file sizes were massive. And that's just what you get with raw footage. So I'd sit down and shoot a talking head like this, 10, 15 minutes worth of talking. It would be 200, 300, 500 gigs. And I'd have to record them right to a 1 terabyte SSD. Just unruly file sizes. And if I'm shooting something like a car review, it would be 900 gigs worth of footage. So those are my 3 big issues with the Ursa Mini. So then a few months back, I was on a freelance commercial shoot with one of my buddies. He was using the Sony FX3s, and he also actually had an Ursa. He bought his a few months after I bought mine, so we had always kind of had that in common, but he started to kind of pitch me on why I should get rid of my Ursa and switch to the younger brother of the Sony FX3, the Sony FX30. He was pitching me on everything: the smaller file size, the eye-tracking autofocus, the really tiny body that's, easy to work with and maneuverable in small spaces, and the excellent image quality that you still get out of it. So we were on that shoot for, I think, 2 or 3 days, and I got to work with the FX3 and kind of get used to the configurations and the buttons and things like that. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna try it. So I ordered an FX30, but I kept my Ursa, and I said, I'm gonna use the FX30, put it through my daily paces. Long story short, I still have the FX30. I'm shooting on it right now. So I'm not gonna give you a full review of the FX30 because there's millions of them out there. It's not a new camera. People have been talking about it for a while, but I wanted to give you the main reasons why I decided to keep it personally. Autofocus, having that is so clutch for me. Being able to set the camera up, walk back, be able to move around a car, do different things, move over here, move really close to the camera, move really far back, and for it to be able to maintain autofocus on me the whole time without me having to adjust anything. It's a nice peace of mind element for me. So that's been huge, especially when I'm shooting car reviews and I'm really far away and it's just kind of hard to get focus set there. The file sizes are significantly smaller. I'm talking an entire video will be like 70 gigs. And I'm shooting at the highest possible codec. Whereas like I said before, you could have exponentially larger files for just a single talking head piece. So that is a huge, huge deal for me, especially because I'm working with a remote editor at work as well. So being able to send that footage back and forth really quickly has been massive. And obviously the size of the camera. It's so easy and maneuverable. I've got everything set up. I've got a quick release system on it, so everything just snaps on really quickly. I don't have to assemble anything. I don't have any wonky, friction arms or anything like that to hold like a big monitor. I'm not using a big V-mount battery on the back. It's just so much simpler for what I need. And it still has, in my opinion, a great image quality. I don't like the colors as much on the Sony log as I like on Blackmagic RAW. You don't get as much flexibility with log footage versus RAW footage. And because of the sensor, you have to worry a little bit about image quality. Definitely low light performance is a huge one. And of course, the depth of field. So what I've kind of had to do to fix a lot of those problems is shoot on something like this 16mm f1.4. That helps me with the depth of field, that helps me with the field of view, and it helps with getting as much light as possible onto the APS-C sensor to avoid noise. So really, I've enjoyed using the camera. It just has been a little bit of a learning curve for me because I was so accustomed to shooting with the Ursa. But I've got shots here of the size comparison of the two, and it is just night and day difference. It's so much easier. I can get this camera into any size car, not to mention that the FX30 has great image stabilization as well. So coupling that when I do want to freehand B-roll and things like that has made a big difference. So that's what I love about it. I think the biggest downsides to me are the low light performance, as I mentioned. Especially at 4K 120, you have to have so much light pumping into this thing that inside it's almost unusable in my opinion, unless you can completely control the lighting. So if I'm trying to shoot sports indoors at 4K 120, it's pretty tough unless you have a super fast lens. Another thing is that log footage, it's not that it's bad by any means, it's just harder to work with than RAW, in my opinion, and it took me a while to learn how to color it properly in a way that I felt was like appealing looking. If you all are familiar with log footage, you might have no problem with it, but for me, it just took a little bit of a learning curve to get it. I think I've kind of found the sweet spot now, so it's not that big a deal now, but looking back a couple months ago, it definitely took some trial and error. The only other real negative to me is the menu system. There's just nothing like the Blackmagic menu system. Sony's has gotten a little bit better, but it is still so convoluted. There's so many pages. Luckily, you have a quick menu or a My menu that you can do on Sony, so you can set up all of your preferred quick adjustments and easily change that. I've gotten used to it, but again, it is nowhere near as good or as simplified or as clean as Blackmagic. So overall, I'm really happy with the FX30. Obviously, I could go up to the FX3 and fix a couple of those problems, i.e. the low light performance, but you lose some things on the FX3 that you actually have on the lower priced FX30. So I'm not sure those trade-offs are worth it to me at this point, but they are rumored to come out with an FX32, so I'm interested to see what that has, and maybe I'll just upgrade to that if it fixes some of the issues that I have with it. Maybe a different sensor, who knows, we'll have to see. But also, if they came out with a box form Blackmagic camera that shot 6K and had autofocus and it was $3,000, I'd buy that. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Drop a like if you did. Let's have a conversation down in the comments. Do you guys have an FX30? Are you looking to pick one up? Are you switching from the Ursa like I am? I'd love to talk about it down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.